out there. So coming back to angel investing. So how do I decide check kisko likhu, whom do I give it? And I wish if someone sold me a crystal ball like that, I'd buy it. Trust me. There isn't one. And therefore, this is what we are forced to do, what we call our due diligence. Is this guy honest? Is he going to shaft me? Paisa leke bhag jayega? Kya karega? You know, who knows? And obviously, when entrepreneurs are selling you on their ideas and, you know, they want your funding, they're on their best behavior. But, you know, who knows what they're going to be after they've got the money. No one does, trust me. But it's not a roulette game. Well, sometimes it is, and sometimes it's a gamble, but it's a little more scientific, or we at least pretend to ourselves that's a little more scientific discipline like that. Funding is a big issue. And please, for heaven's sake, take the time and trouble to read books on how to run a startup, how to fund. I'm not going to go into any of these details, but each of these things could actually be a separate talk by itself. And what does negotiation mean? Who values it? People have all kinds of concerns. And honestly, I find the more immature the entrepreneur who's never bothered to do any reading, the worse it is to handle and deal with them. And I'd rather not. If you can't even take the time and trouble to read a book to find out the right way to run a startup, you know, how do you have the right to, you know, ask me for my money? I'm not going to sit and babysit you and handhold you and tell you what the right way is. So figure it out for yourself. Legalese, lots of it. And, you know, there's tons of stuff I can't understand. And fortunately, I don't have to because I have a family office who does it. You know, reading medical textbooks put you to sleep. Trust me, reading law textbooks will put you to sleep faster. Try it out and see. I mean, they think they use English, but sometimes I wonder. So anyway, there's a lot of legalese, whether it's shareholder agreements, this thing, all that stuff. All I'm saying is find a good lawyer. A good lawyer is a startup-friendly lawyer, someone who puts your needs first and someone who will not talk down to you. Someone who will understand first principles and will help you to make sense of what's happening. So when people pitch to me, when do I say no? I say no most of the time. And in a way, I'm happy because they make my life easier. So easy to say no to some people, I can then spend my energy doing more interesting and valuable things like giving talks to Samsa, right? Sorry, kidding. So anyone who comes to me with only an idea, no implementation, maaf boss. To khud ka paisa nahi dalne wala, to main kya dalne wala. They have these lovely hockey stick, but I can also do Excel and manipulate and come up with all kinds of fancy projections. No competition only means two things. Either your idea is so crappy that no one else wants to do it, or that you've not bothered to do your homework and you not even realize what the other competition is. So, and if you don't have skin in the game, skin in the game doesn't mean, oh, you know, I didn't take a job and I forego my salary, all that good stuff. Skin in the game means show me how committed you are, because, and I've heard this often enough, तेरा तो क्या जाता है, तू तो rich investor है यार, तू तो 10 कंपनी में डालेगा, ये तो मेरी एक ही स्टार्टअप है. सही बात है, लेकिन मेरे को पैसे ऊपर से नहीं टपके हैं. This is also blood, sweat and tears. And you know, if your father will not give you a 1 lakh check to fund you, your father who loves you, trusts you, has brought you up, you want me to sign a 1 crore check? Give me a break. Anyway, I'm just saying, you know, so I'm not a cynical guy. Trust me. I mean, I heard lots of people say lots of things about me, but I always tell people the fact I still sign checks means, of course, I'm optimistic and positive. I'd have stopped a long time ago and gone and retired in some, I won't say Hawaiian island, but anyway. And anyone who uses too much buzzwords, you know, I may be an idiot, but I'm not such a big idiot that I can't figure out stuff myself. And you use these words, I'll buy a book, read. And then if I can easily, you know, I mean, my bullshit detector is reasonably okay. And if you do that and then I catch you out, I'll lose all respect for you and then I won't engage with you anymore. So do I say no all the time? No, we fund people. I need to fall in love. Sounds very emotional, but a lot of angel investing is emotional. I'll come back to that. I look for what I call a learning on investment. I want someone who will make me smarter than what I was. I'm very happy to fund non-medical startups because, you know, my ability to learn more in unrelated fields like fintech or AI or, you know, anything practically is much better. And honestly, sometimes I think I'm not very good with health tech investing because partly the entrepreneur feels, "Arey yaar, Dr. Malpani ko to sab kuch malum hai." He asks me for what to do. How the hell do I know what to do? I'm an IVF specialist who practices in a clinic in Colaba. I don't understand what other doctors' problems are. I don't understand what other patients' problems are. It's your job to figure them out. So don't get misled by what I say. The three things which we think we bring to the table and we want entrepreneurs to bring to the table: integrity, non-negotiable. If I don't trust you, then, you know, you'll be the first person to cheat me. Curiosity. figure out stuff. That's half the fun of living. If you want to stop figuring out stuff, you might as well be dead. And humility. You're going to be wrong often, and there's nothing wrong with being wrong. And the oftener you're wrong, the more often you will end up being right. Nothing wrong. Willing to teach and learn, definitely. I hope to learn from you, and I think there are certain things I can teach you. If nothing else, how to do the right thing by your customers, how governance is, what you need to do about investing, what investors are looking for, stuff like that, how to handle your employees, how to pamper your employees so they will pamper your customers. And the one thing, I don't care whether you've got an MBA or an MBBS or a dropout, or you've gone to IIT, or you've got a, whatever. You have paying customers, boss, that means much more to me. Show me your bank account, and that means much more to me than whatever certificate, degree, or diploma which you have. So our process is simple. We back the entrepreneur, and I have a soft corner for failed entrepreneurs simply because they made so many mistakes. They won't repeat the same mistakes. So women entrepreneurs, definitely. I think you have to be twice as smart to succeed as a woman, to get half the credit. And yet, in spite of that, they do that. And, my wife's not around. Trust me, this is as true for her as for any other woman I know. And I have a soft corner for social impact investing because, I don't do this for the money anymore. And I think your ability to create a change in people's lives is huge. And I don't care about the domain. I tell people, "Musko kuch samajhta nahi hai." You're the expert. It's your domain. It's your startup. You need to educate me and figure out stuff. Signing the check is the fun bit. That's the only thing you read about on all the press. I don't sign checks in $1,000,000 or whatever. But the hard work only starts after signing the check. And I think this is the value we tell people we will bring to the table. We will be actively engaged. We will help you when you're lost. We're happy for you when you're succeeding. So please share your successes. And if you're in a tight spot, don't hide from us. We have your back. We've trusted you. We've given you money. We're happy to help you continue to succeed. And, obviously make sure your accounts are in order. You're filing all your returns, income tax, company registrar, all that good stuff. And we will not interfere. If you want help, ask us, but we will not kind of say, what you're doing. We trust you. Some of the guys we funded, we have a website which has more information. And the way we support our startups is, if they're doing well, which means two things we look at: attitude and performance. Performance is, have they met the milestones? And attitude is, are they treating us with respect? Then we continue funding for the next round. We're available, we're accessible. We want to be the cheerleaders. And we're happy to help them. And we're happy to coach and mentor. And there are bad days. Trust me, a lot of the COVID, excuse me guys. A lot of the startups had problems during the bad days, but we have your back. We're there to support you, so don't worry. What about angel investing? Again, seems very esoteric. I think we have another 10 minutes. So principles are, we don't know which is going to succeed. People don't understand this. Remember one thing, even VCs who have been for donkey's years, have far more money, have a much larger team, still cannot identify which startup is going to succeed. Startups are called complex adaptive systems. No one knows which is going to work, which is not going to work. So we use a portfolio approach. You back multiple people. When I say the power law, this basically means that out of 10, one will succeed. And if I knew which one that was, I'd be a very, very rich guy by now, but no one is. And again, it's, I tell angel investors, you'll read about Uber mein itna paisa banaya, that's all pipe dreams. It's not a get rich scheme. Startups take time to mature. It's helpful to read. Just like we tell entrepreneurs to read, we do a lot of reading, and joining a network helps. I enjoy being an investor because, a lot of my colleagues who are now 6-year-old doctors just keep on whining and whinging about how terrible life is, how no one respects senior doctors, how administration doesn't care, how all the money they make goes on giving cuts and kickbacks to everyone else, how all these new doctors are now undercutting them, how patients go to Dr. Google and ask them stupid, irritating questions, which, all kinds of things, just one complaint after another. And I think part of that happens when you start getting a little bit older. When I was young, in my days, today's students are all idiots. They just want shortcuts. They just want Twitter and mobiles all the time. They don't want to work hard. Hey, I'm sure you've all heard it before, so I'm not going there. But I like being an investor because it makes me optimistic. And This way I get to connect with bright young guys who are ambitious, who want to change the world for the better. So some of their optimism rubs off onto me. I think I can help them do a better job. I've made lots of mistakes in my life. Hopefully I can teach them not to make them. And honestly, I think it helps me. As long as I keep on learning new stuff, I'll remain young. I think doctors make good investors because I think you can be empathetic, not just for your team members, which is critically important, because if you care for your team members, your employees, they'll care back for you and they'll care for your customers. You can be empathetic towards your users. You care about them, you give them a feeling. You have that domain expertise in healthcare, which is great. And your patients can become great brand ambassadors because you have goodwill in the community, and you can then talk to senior professors and ask them for support and help. And the reality is every doctor who runs a clinic is an entrepreneur. But this often becomes a two-way street, because if you then become an angel investor, it also actually helps you run your clinic a little better, because then you understand, what a balance sheet is and what EBITDA is and what accruals are and what accounts receivable. Doctor को समझता भी नहीं है सब. एक तो सब cash practice करते हैं, so they don't bother to account for it. And anyway, सब कुछ CA करता है. Anyway, so I think these are important skills which everyone needs to learn. That's of course the happy ending if the right investor finds the right entrepreneur. Lots more information. These are our websites. Like I said, we were sharing the presentation, which you can always go through this in more detail. A little bit about me. I've been on a board of a company run by Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, which actually started from 0 people 10 years ago, and now is 5,000 people. You should check out the website. They're doing some great stuff. It's mostly in the US. I mean, the employees are in India, but the doctors whom they help are in the US. And I wish someone would say, what the hell, these guys are making money in the US. We should offer the same service to India. Please do that, guys, and ask me, and I'll be happy to fund you. Then, neither of my daughters is doing medicine. And then, of course, it's like, daddy da kuch samajhta nahi hai. I've done an MBA from Stanford. He's just an idiot who's done his MBA from some GS Medical College or something else. And then, you need to keep up with your kids. So at least, I understand what she's talking about. So now I do it through Mumbai Angels, do it through my family office. And it's fun. It's fun because now I actually have an excuse to read about anything which interests me. I have an excuse to read about blockchain and Bitcoin and corporate governance and Theranos or anything else, because, hey, this is information I can use with my founders. It's not just sterile information. Hey, sorry, guys, I should have removed that second line. Yeah, but, I'll say share my experiences on Twitter. Have 10,000 followers today and we'll get to 100,000 followers. No, sorry, kidding apart. But I learn a lot, and the world is a fascinating place. I think this is important as you grow older. It's called the T-shaped model of life. You get a lot of expertise in the vertical stem of the T. As an IVF specialist, trust me, been there, done that, very unlikely that I'm going to see anyone with a problem I haven't seen before. And usually anytime someone asks me a question, I do an FAQ and post it on my blog and my website, so that the next time a patient has that same question, I don't have to answer it. I can just tell them, go read it for yourself. And then you start applying that same stuff, because there's lots of similarities. Ultimately, humans are humans. That's our website, which is malpaniventure.com. And as I've said before, we want to be founder friendly. We think we're not doing entrepreneurs a favor by signing them. They're doing us a favor by asking us to help them. And when I say frugal innovation, what right do I have to win otherwise? There are lots more people with tons more money who can sign checks, but then often people who have too much money end up burning it and doing stupid things. We also say no quickly. But if I'm not the right person for you, I'm not going to get an ego kick out of, let's meet for a coffee and stuff. And there's just too many predators in the startup ecosystem. I doubt very much if this will happen. This, of course, is every angel investor's dream. Find the next Uber and then buy a helicopter or a plane. No, kidding apart. I completely understand this, that most startups will fail, which is fine. But you know what? The trick is called asset allocation. And you should only invest money in startups which money you can afford to lose without losing sleep over. So again, important to have realistic expectations. And I think this is important. People don't understand the difference between PE and VC and angels. And I'm not going to sit and teach you all this stuff. It's easy enough to figure out. You read it online. But these are the reasons why I became an angel investor. I took this from a book because it's so true. For my own benefit, yes, life is fun. I keep on having different things to do. I don't get bored. Have something interesting to talk at parties. Maybe because, whoa, cool. What are you doing? Wow, investing. But I don't attend parties. But anyway, for the benefit of the world, yes, of course. At some point I'm going to be dead and gone. So what's the legacy you want to leave behind for the rest of the world? And that's something I learned from my parents. And for the entrepreneur's benefit, which means, yeah, I used to be young once upon a time. You may not appreciate that. And you will also be old sooner or later, hopefully. Better than the alternative, trust me. But anyway, so we think that if we can help you make fewer mistakes, that'll have been well worth it. So again, this is mostly for angel investors. There are pros and cons. And guys, that's my last slide. If you notice, it said IVF specialist and angel investor. It's the best of both worlds. I continue seeing patients one-on-one, which still gives me a kick, when someone says, thank you so much, doctor, I would never have had a baby if it wasn't for you. Wow, no amount of money can ever beat that. But I'm not allergic to money, so if I can get passive income from the work of my entrepreneurs, so much the better. Okay, guys, done. What's next?
Thank you so much, sir.
Hey, you guys can see my chat session. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead. So now do I stop? Do I stop screen sharing?
Yes, sir, you can stop screen sharing.
Okay, stop screen sharing. Stop.
So for the participants, I'd like to ask you to write your questions in the chat box.
No. Actually, I should have insisted on this. Everyone needs to do either a video or a tweet or whatever, or LinkedIn, the longer the better personally, on what the point of this presentation was and what you learned. And that I'm insisting on. And we're giving you all the materials. I mean, it's there on the video. It's there on we're sending you the deck. So do whatever you like. But guys, don't be greedy and selfish. If you learn something, then help someone else to learn more. And the advantage of sharing what you learn with someone else is whatever I tell you will get reinforced and you'll remember it. So do me that favor at least.
And
okay.
Sir, I'd like to remind you of the term medical pimping.
The what? Yes.
Medical pimping. So you said you'd explain that.
I didn't say that. I said I want someone else to tell me. No spoon feeding us. Figure out.
So we did have some answers in the chat box.
Tell me. I can see the chat now.
So from Ayush Bhadani, we have telling juniors that they are worth nothing and they did nothing great by joining MBBS.
Yeah, and there's another great word you guys should read. It's called gaslighting. And what that means is effectively gaslighting. And what that means is you manipulate people psychologically to put them in their place. And अरे यार तू किस खेत की मूली है कुछ समझता नहीं है तुझको beat them down. And pimping is that effectively they won't ask you the 9 questions you know the answer to. They'll take perverse pride in asking you that one question which you don't know the answer to. Just ego game. See how much smarter than I am. If you don't let anyone do all that. And anyone pimps you, it says a lot about them than about you. Unfortunately, if you stick against a senior resident or a assistant professor who enjoys that, that's, tough luck. It won't last for more than 6 months. And I always tell people, the wisest 4 words in life are, this too will pass. Remember that during the good times. Remember that during the bad times also. I'm scrolling down. Please rename. Oh, sorry. Half developing. Good. Someone has a website. Nice. I'm very impressed. Why doesn't everyone have a website? What? Saryadipta, you should be setting an example to everyone else. Okay, let me see. I'll follow up after a week's time. I'll follow up after a week's time and see how many people put up a website. If no one does, I'll say, यार ये सब फुकट की बात है मैं दोबारा फिर से ये सब नहीं करने वाला हूँ. Because सब लोगों को बड़बड़ सुनने की आदत है करता तो कुछ है नहीं and I have better things to do with my life. And it literally takes you less than a day. There are free options. There's WordPress, whatever else. But anyway, let's see. But I don't benefit by your putting up a website. I'm telling you do it for selfish reasons.
So,
oh wow, Druja said dead innovating. This is so impressive. I know that all लोगों को बोलूँगा इसमें से hopefully 2 सुनेंगे, hopefully 1 साल के बाद 5 सुनेंगे. But guys, anything I say, everyone takes with a large pinch of salt. Hey, you were born with a silver spoon. You went to GL, all kinds of things. But when people like you advise other people, you have far more credibility. I mean, you can say as a medical student, I read that book and it was great. Then other medical students are much more likely to do that. And the more you help other people, the more the universe will help you. I believe in karma. Okay, you got that MBB, the pimping thing. Da, 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 da. Asking terrible questions. No, asking terrible questions to juniors to put them in the place. Sometimes juniors also do that, don't they? Ask terrible questions to show everyone else how smart they are because they've read the book and other people haven't. Okay. Yeah, you're not reading the right medical textbooks, trust me. There are some great medical textbooks. And a lot of medical textbooks have reinvented themselves. And there are lots of videos online and stuff. So, I think the human body is fascinating. If you're getting bored, then you just need to change where you're reading from. If there is no competition, can't mean a complete. Okay, let me ask you a simple question. If you know anything about neurosciences and cognitive sciences, where do ideas come from? They come from your brain. They don't spring full-blown like Athena did from her father's head in mythology, right? Everything which comes from your brain first had to get into your brain, correct? And the only way it can get into your brain is from the environment or from long memory, correct? Your environment is what you see, what you're listening, and that's why we encourage you, go explore the world, travel, read lots of different books, meet lots of different people. And long-term memory is basically stuff you've read or experienced in other geographies or other domains, which then moves from your working memory to your long-term memory. And that's the only source. The magic source is that you combine them in ways which other people haven't, whatever it may be. But, please don't be like GeoMeat or whatever else it was. Come on. You should copy, but you should evolve, adapt, be original. What works in Silicon Valley will not work in India. So there will always be competition. And let me tell you one thing. Sometimes the competition is whatever the person is doing at present. Of course, the person is doing something at present. So suppose you say, hey, there is no Italian restaurant in South Mumbai, for example. So there's no competition. But the competition is people don't eat Italian or whatever else. Or they maybe cook it at home. So you have to change your perspective. There's always competition. If there wasn't, I'd be so rich. Anyway, why do you believe so? What other kind of learning is there other than self-learning? First, that entire model where the student was an empty vessel and teacher came with all this yarn and poured it in and filled you with wisdom, forget it, doesn't happen. The only learning is self-learning. Now you could choose to self-learn by inflicting hours torture like this lecture or in a classroom or whatever else, or you could figure out a book or a video or YouTube or a podcast and figure it out for yourself. The point is, do what excites and energizes you. Why are you not interested in invest other startups like RainCan? I did invest in RainCan and then we exited. They had a different philosophy altogether. And, and they're doing extremely well. They got acquired by Big Basket. Good for them. How can I be right for everyone? And how can everyone be right for me? I only have one wife. I don't think I have the guts to have more. Sorry, kidding. Patients Google everything. What's wrong? The right thing is patients Google everything is an opportunity for you, boss. Create your own website. Become the authoritative source of information on ulcerative colitis in Hindi. तो कोई भी Google search करेगा on ulcerative colitis हिंदी, तेरी website आएगी. Great. तो वो सब पढ़ के आएंगे तो तेरा तो काम solve हो गया. और ये patient आएंगे because अरे यार ये तो सचमुच ज्ञानी है. He knows the soft, whatever else it may be. So I don't think that's a problem. And as if you guys don't Google every time you want to decide, which smartphone I want to buy. And for a stupid smartphone, if you do that, then why do you expect patients won't do it? Of course they will. And there's nothing wrong. And the reason people are going to Google is because we as doctors have let them down. If we provided all the information which they required, which is authentic, reliable, they trust us. They don't trust Dr. Google. But because we don't educate them, they're forced to go to Dr. Google and then go to all these quack websites like Practo and all these rubbish guys who all they want to do is make money. They don't care about their patients. That's because we've let our patients down. Remember, the word doctor is derived from the word dossier, which means to teach, which means to educate. And you can educate one at a time or you can educate in thousands. It's really up to you. We hope to see you back on LinkedIn. Right now I'm saying it's LinkedIn's loss, not mine. Many pointers. Oh yes, of course. I think Rich Dad Poor Dad is a great book for explaining, what is an asset, what is a liability, and what passive income means. And I'm glad you guys are reading the book. Good for you. How to do networking and connect. The secret for networking is two things. One is attend one or two events and don't do more than that, because beyond the point you've reached the point of diminishing returns and makes you feel good, but often a lot of these are waste of money, but you should attend at least one or two. But the trick is to get people to come to you and not go to them. And why will people come to you? Because you establish yourself as the domain expert. And how do you establish yourself as the domain expert? By publishing tons of stuff on how much you know about ulcerative colitis, why it's treated badly, why it's, or this great new medical device which you've created for treating whatever you have. Keep on doing it, one tweet at a time, one LinkedIn post at a time. At the end of a year, you'll have 400. So koi bhi Google karega, to they'll find out. And sooner or later, some investor will say, "Arey yaar, this guy seems to know quite a bit what he's talking about." Your questions, made a website. What do you mean fail? How can you ever fail? I think that in itself is flawed. I've given a lot of money to a lot of startups and, all my money's gone down the drain. But I honestly learned more from the startups who failed, and especially from the entrepreneur who cheated me. Because now I will not allow another entrepreneur to cheat me. See clear. And, the sooner you fail, the better, because then you usually with small amounts of money, and that has an amplification effect. So, and don't say that. Typically what will happen is someone else will do the app, or you may revisit the app after 5 years. How to reach out to you? Guys, if you need to ask that question, I'm not even bothering to answer it. So people used to do this. Send me your email. How do I do this? I said, what? Spoon feeding? I mean, that's a great hurdle, a great barrier. It's like my screening sieving mechanism. If someone needs to ask me how to reach out to me, means I definitely don't want them to reach out to me. How you learn for freelancing, finding zero clients? Yeah, of course, because there are lots of freelancers. You need to not just learn how to build a website. You also need to learn how you can leverage. What makes you different? So tomorrow you went to all the doctors in private practice in your area and say, boss, तुम्हारे लिए website बनाऊंगा. ये दूसरे जो गधे हैं जो website बनाते हैं, उनको medicine कुछ समझती नहीं है. So you know what I would do? I would target doctors who run clinics in, let's say, 3 kilometers or 5 kilometers. Then I would sort them out and I would say, this is the guy who's the richest, the top 10. Then I would actually create a dummy website for each of them. So let's say Dr. Desai is a famous pediatrician. I would create a dummy drdesai.in and I would email it to him, send it to him and ask his appointment. And then I would show Dr. Desai, look, this is what your website would look like. Imagine. I say, whoa, that's cool. Everyone has an ego. Everyone loves their name. Aisi banegi. And then he say, hey, you've already done all the hard work. Mujhe kya karna hai? The best thing is make a few mistakes. So he'll want them changed. So he'll take ownership. Arey yaar, I helped him to do a better job. Perfect. Little bit Machiavellian, but there's nothing wrong with doing that. And then he will want you to do it. So I think, there's always ways to succeed. Not bad. Someone is pitching. Rudra, good for you. I like the fact that he's selling. You should be selling all the time. Nothing wrong with that. Will the recording be available? It better be available. Yeah, and post it on YouTube or whatever. How much do you expect to see in an entrepreneur's bank's passbook? There is no magic number for that. I mean, not that I haven't funded pre-revenue startups. And boss, all rules are designed to be broken. I make the rules and I can break them. But I need to be able to justify why I'm breaking them. So honestly, there's no number. Whatever works for you is important. You've learned to build Android apps and you don't know what to do in a medical scenario. Look at all the other Android apps which are available for medical scenarios. How can I answer these questions for you? And you shouldn't even be asking me these questions. You should be it's your job as an entrepreneur to figure out the answers. View a disorganized way. Yeah, people have been doing this. The first startup I funded was in, I think, before the dot-com boom. See how old I am. Maybe I shouldn't say stuff like that. Anyway, 1998, guys. And this was exactly this. Medical records are all over the place. No one knows anything. We need to put them in one place. Falana dana. Bombed completely. And even Google PHR, for example. So you should always learn for what stuff has failed in the past. The need is there. Everyone accepts that. And then, who's going to do it? Are patients going to do it? Ideally, yes, because they should own their data. But the reality is when you're healthy, you're not a patient and you don't care because you're immortal. Mujhe kuch hone nahi wala yaar, main to jeeunga. And then by the time you're a patient, you have so many other things to worry about that just becomes a low priority. And then doctors have ego battles. Yeah, I don't trust those records and all kinds of things. It's not an easy problem. It needs to be done, but People have been trying to solve it and still not done it successfully. How can you sell healthcare ethically? Great question. Maybe you shouldn't use word sell again. And I think this is part of the problem, because in our head, the moment you say market, the moment you say sell, we associate with mis-selling and being unethical. And actually, that's not true. A good salesman is someone who adds value to his customer's life. Plain and simple. Why does he do that? Because he knows that loyal customers are worth their weight in gold. That loyal customer will come back again when he falls sick, when his aunt falls sick, when his mother-in-law falls sick. And he will tell other patients about what a great doctor you are. So that's really, it's always been done. For 50 years, 100 years, it was the only way. It was called word of mouth marketing. Now the beauty is you can do the word of mouth marketing amplified 1,000-fold. And trust me, patients don't trust doctors, but they trust other patients. So a huge opportunity. Clean, explain your venture with joy. Look at the website, guys. It's called ikshealth.com. What attitude do investors have? Again, investors come in all shapes and sizes. Some will do it as charity, philanthropy, donation. Some will do it for profit. I back social enterprises because I actually think I'm providing them with financial capital. I think people have a soft corner for social impact entrepreneurs. Ki tum kiska bhala kar rahe ho. So, they're often willing to pay a premium or willing to give you a little more shoot, be more understanding. And I think you have human capital. Because the kind of employees you will attract for a social impact enterprise will not be the kind of guys who will walk away because someone gives them 10% more and 20% more. They believe in your mission, which is why they've joined your company, and that can be huge. Share the websites. That's all there on the presentation, and that's there on the video, and that's there on the listings. That's fine. Scalability, huge. I mean, there are so many patients and not enough doctors. And, if you do a good job, of course, there's enough scope. Should we start entrepreneurship? You should never need permission from anyone else for any of these answers to any of these questions. You should do what you think is right. How do I know anything about you to answer that question? And a lot of these things I'd strongly encourage do as a side gig or hustle or whatever else. Do it part-time. Go join a startup and say once a week I will come and work with you or whatever you want. And what scarcity of time? I'm confused. Because you are wasting your time in the canteen or what? Everyone has 24 hours in a day. How you choose your 24 hours is up to you. Think of starting up? Yes, never too early to start up. Do we need to make research? Yeah, so a lot of this stuff has been done. Research under electives, professors, but everyone games the system. People will do it because, yeah, I need to do my thesis. Iska copy and paste karke karu. Or the professor will say, "Haan, theek hai, I'm the editor on this journal. Mujhe kam se kam ek article milega." All kinds of things. How can you sell healthcare? Websites. क्या रुद्रा तू सबको डिस्काउंट देने वाला है क्या? वो भी लिखना. Anyone who comes to me as a SAMSA member gets a 50% discount. I think that's a great deal. Give me an example of role model. I was in there, fine, non-exception. Didn't like what medical field was. That's what I meant about positive deviance. अभी तुमको कीचड़ ही ढूंढने का है तो तुमको कीचड़ भी मिलेगा, तुमको कमल ढूंढने का है तो कमल भी मिलेगा. It's your worldview. So why do you go on and on about who does things wrong? Why don't you focus on people who are doing things right? And I think there are enough people doing things right. But trust me, people like Naresh Trehan and Apollo Hospital aren't in that category. I apologize about that, but anyway. What do you think? Of course, doctors should learn. Doctors should learn anything and everything. Why should they not? We're as smart as anyone else. How much you want to learn is up to you. I think every kid should know pseudocode. उतना तो आना ही चाहिए, समझना चाहिए. खुद कोड कर मत कर कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, लेकिन कोई दूसरा बताता है तो इतना तो समझाना चाहिए कि एल्गोरिथम क्या होता है, फ्लो चार्ट कैसे बनाते हैं, सूडो कोड कर, बाकी का इट डजंट मैटर. Yes, 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 yes. No, I'm not outsourcing my website development, Rudra. Thanks. What innovation Oh, I think some of it is predictable. Patients won't need to travel to clinics. A lot of this stuff will happen online. You will get second opinions and teleconsultations and stuff. So, any tip for storytelling? Tell authentic stories. Tell stories which have moved you, which have impacted you. Those are the best stories to tell. And all of us have stories. The more the stories you tell, the better you will get at them. That I promise. MOOCs are a good, yes, of course, MOOCs are a great way. Anything which you choose to do for yourself is called self-learning, and anything you do with self-learning is great. I do lots of course on Udemy. I do Udemy because I'm conjuice. 500 रुपए में, इतना खटकना नहीं है, नहीं तो otherwise we all know the dropout rate is very high. ठीक है यार, okay चलो, 500 नहीं होगा, and they've done a good job. So I do lots of courses on Udemy. Did you think of becoming an investor? No. And where do I know what I'm going to be like 5 years from now? None of us knows. None of us has a crystal ball. I'll be very disappointed if I'm the same person I am in 2020. That I'll tell you for sure. So I hope to keep on reinventing myself. So no, I did, but I'm happy I did, and I'll be happy. Same startup, financial model. If your mind changes, okay, I'm glad someone is pitching. Boss, feel free to pitch. But there's a process we follow when we pitch. Read the website first, then see if you're the right investors for you, and then go and pitch. Okay, guys, any other questions, or are we done?
So, like I have a sort of pitch from Decoding COVID. So I'd like to sell you the idea of being a part of a jury.
Follow the process. So I tell people, no face-to-face. The trouble is you're a very charismatic person. I will fall in love with you and then like an idiot science check. Not good enough. I want to see how disciplined you are. So I need to see how well you can write down your ideas, how well you can articulate. And if you can't sell to me, you'll never be able to sell to a customer. So you do your homework. I'm a lazy guy, boss. Tu kar, karne ke baad fir aake mujhko milna. I don't say no, unless, there's a reason for me to. If I say no, often so the right way to interpret a no is a not yet. And polish it.
So I was inviting you to be part of a jury for the final presentation.
No, please, no.
Okay.
I've been there, done that. I'm always happy to try everything once. Then I'm not so sure. Okay, guys, what else? Okay, thank you so much. You've been an attentive audience. So please share the links for the,
yes, sir. Surely,
the YouTube and stuff. And then let's see how much more we can disseminate, because the reality is not many people are going to be motivated enough to waste a Sunday morning, afternoon listening to me. But I still think that message needs to be repackaged, redone. I hope and pray someone will do this in Hindi, someone will do this in Marathi. It's extremely unfair that we don't do that. And honestly, if you guys don't do it, who else is going to do it? Thanks a lot for having me, guys.
Thank
so
you,
now,
sir.
what do I do? Hey, you need to help me out here.
Sir,
leave.
you need
I click
to
on leave, right?
Press yes, sir.
Okay, thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, sir, for coming in and sparing your time and sharing this power-packed message with all the participants. I'm very sure that all the participants are really enthusiastic and energized by your session. And we'll be
But वही
hoping
तो रोना है ना कि 1 घंटे के लिए एनर्जी रहती है, वो देखना पड़ता है कि 1 हफ्ते के बाद कौन क्या करता है और 1 महीने के बाद कौन क्या करता है. So we'll wait and see.
Yes,
Cool.
sir.
Thank you so
We'll
much.
be happy to see more medical innovations and medical entrepreneurs from medical students coming.
I hope so.
We'll be happy to see that. Thank you so much.
And if you want to do that, then Krishna is the right person to contact. He's the domain expert. He's been doing it. His heart is in the right place. He's very, very good, and he exactly understands what you need to do. So you actually don't even need to reach out to me. And even if you did reach out to me, I'd mostly refer you to Krishna. Trust me about this. Okay, guys, take care. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
So for the participants, I'd like to share a video regarding SAMHSA. So if everyone can see my screen.
Yes, we can. Sure, sir.
So we at SAMHSA are part of that entire teamwork collaborative that sir had talked about. Our motto, service with a conscience and knowledge with a purpose, exemplifies what we do. We do things like health camps, as you can see. Health camps which involve everyone from first year students to interns and postgraduates. We do health camps almost everywhere in Kolkata, serving the community, which helps us to better our perspectives. We have workshops from our beloved professors. We have basic life support skill training like ECGs and CPR sessions. And last year we had a SAMHSA Con 2019, which was one of the game changers for East India conferences organized by students and for the students. So as you can see the pictures of the participants from SamsaCon, this was a Model Who session at SamsaCon 2019. We had planned the SamsaCon 2020, but unfortunately it didn't materialize. But that didn't stop us. We went ahead with our PP distribution initiatives, and as you can see, we helped a lot of colleges. Meanwhile, we had a series of exciting webinars for the medical students. We had sessions on work-life balance. We had sessions on NEET PG. We had quizzes. We had sessions on Plabinar. And that's pretty much it. So if you'd like to join SAMSA, you can go on to samsa.org.in. I repeat, samsa.org.in, as you can see on your screen. And if you're interested, please consider joining us. There will be a message for the finalists of the hackathon. So if all of them are there, I'll be sharing my screen. So hello, finalists. Can you see my screen? Can I see in the chat box below? Hackathon finalists, if you can see my screen.
We can see it, Shoujo. I think the chat box is disabled currently. So, but you can see it. You can continue.
So now for the prizes, I'm sure after about 72 hours of constant grinding, I think you all have wondered at one point what the prizes will be. So we are having 2 prizes per theme, that is total of 10 prizes. So per theme, we would be having the Best Innovation Award, which is rupees 4,000. And for the second prize, we would be having the Best Business Model, which would be for rupees 2,000. So that's it. We would move now to the final session, the final presentation session. That would be starting at about 2 p.m. We'll be sharing the links a few minutes before that. So if you could please leave, we'll be closing the room now. And well, best of luck, participants.
All the best, guys. All the best for your pitch.